All right, I'm very excited to welcome you back to the press this morning. And if you're just tuning in, you've missed quite the highlight of our show, which is, of course, the headlines that I rolled out for you this morning. But be rest assured that you still will be able to catch up. I've been joined by my guest right now, who is here in the studio with me. With him, we'll be analyzing some of the biggest headline that has graced our screen this morning. So in the studio with me is Comrade Olumuyiwa Onlede. He's a public affairs analyst and executive director, Citizens Awareness Against Corruption and Social Voices Initiative. It's a pleasure to have you join me this morning on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, you've seen him, right? Let's delve into the program. I'm actually supposed to have two guests, but the second is a bit AWOL. I don't know if he's going to join us in the middle, but if he doesn't, I'm sure Olumuyiwa will do justice to any question I have for him this morning. So without further ado, let's start off with the impending flood that has been predicted in about 28 states in the country. Well, now, with over 50 million Nigerians at risk of floods, including recent devastation that happened in Mokwa, we're still, in fact, a lot of people are still not found even as a result of that displacement. Now, what immediate and long-term strategies is the government supposed to implement? Because it's like every single year we're talking about flood. It's like we wait for it. Nobody is making, no plan is being made as to how to end it completely. Even if it's not complete, at least reduce it that it doesn't take lives every year, it doesn't destroy properties. So if you ask, what do you think the government should do to strengthen, let's talk about the dam safety, the urban drainage, we'll talk about community early warning systems and the rest. What do you think should be done to tackle this menace?
You said something about immediate solution. I don't believe in fire brigade approach. I believe there should be a long term or a solution that will be at a long run that will permanently put the issue of flooding to rest, because every year we keep hearing people along waterways should move away, but move to where? That is the question. There must be a permanent solution to this, and this is where the Ministry of Water Resources come into play, and I think they are not doing enough to solve the problem. This problem will have nipped into the bud since, because for so many years, so many decades, we've been through this problem. And I can remember like 3-4 years ago in Bayelsa State,
yes,
the flood was so devastating that those that were buried were exhumed by flood, and people saw carcass of dead bodies and all the rest. But immediately after the rain, nobody says anything about it again.
Exactly.
We continue to wait until it is time for rainy season. Then NIMET will start again and continue to tell us, oh, there's going to be flood around so and so states. No. We are not used to solving problems in Africa, Nigeria especially, because this is our country. And it is so bad that despite huge resources allocated to ministries and agencies, they fail to meet up the expectation of the people. We have NEMA as a federal government agency. We have SEMA as state government agencies, and I think every state has that.
Every state has one.
You understand? But those are agencies that are supposed to be dealing with circumstances beyond the control of the government, disasters. But once we fail to do the right thing, and we say, oh, we have FEMA, we have NEMA, and we have SEMA, and we wait for disaster to happen, then we call them and say, oh, bring relief materials. How long are we going to continue to do that? So we are pleading with Ministry of Water Resources to look for capable hands to design a great master plan on how to deal with this issue of flooding. Whether the dam that is being opened in Cameroon, all our own dams that will overflow, whether the capacities must be increased, whether they must be dredged, whether rivers must be dredged to accommodate the water level that will come as a result of rain. So all those things should be looked into. And if it means bringing expatriates from countries that has experienced this and now they have relief,
yes,
what did they do? So we can copy and improve on it and use it for the benefit of the people so that we don't continue to lose people. Look at what happened in Mokwa, Niger State.
Terrible.
So many people lost their lives. People that would have been, you know, useful to the society, useful to their family, useful to themselves. They are long gone. Those things can be avoided. Those things can be avoided. And we must also caution government agencies in charge of approving building plans. Waterways should not be blocked. Waterways should not be blocked. So you cannot approve plans for people to block waterways, and at the end of the day, this government is still telling people leave those corridors. It doesn't make any sense. In the first place, people are not supposed to be there. You go to states like Lokoja, Kogi State, you see houses around rivers, and you now wonder, how will these people survive if this river overflow? How will they survive? The properties they have suffered to acquire is gone. If they even escape with their lives, in some cases, lives are lost. And the funniest thing is that the government of Kogi State built state-owned hotel around such rivers, and the hotel was consumed by water some years ago, like 7 years ago. So it's funny the way things are being managed. It's better to avoid disaster than managing disaster. So we believe it is within the purview of Ministry of Water Resources to do something about it. If we don't have capable hands, if we don't have experienced hands, experienced people that will solve this problem, there's nothing wrong. If expatriates are brought in and they share what they have done in other countries to solve this problem, and this problem is permanently solved, that will be better for the nation and the people. We can't continue to lose lives. We can't continue to tell people to leave their houses, even when those houses are not supposed to be there in the first place. So we create problems for ourselves. Then we turn around to look for solutions to those problems. And we don't have those solutions readily available as a people. So we must try as much as possible to avoid the problems. And the ones that has been created, we must look for solutions to them, even when it means bringing expatriates from outside the country.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I do have a big something I really want us to address, but I would like to leave that for the last question. But let's look at the Senate approving the $21.5 billion loan from the president. Now the Senate just approved it, and this loan was requested by the president. How would you assess the government's transparency and accountability? And then also, what would you say should be the safeguard, or what would you say should be the safeguard to surround this borrowing that we have every year in order to effectively increase its utilization when it comes to infrastructure and, of course, public welfare? We have talked about when it comes to loan, basically, in this country, something that Nigeria frowns. You know, we ask ourselves, why do we keep borrowing? And we don't see ourselves repaying. We keep borrowing, and then even when those monies are borrowed, we don't see what the money are used for. At the instance of the borrowing, they will tell us this is okay. They want to use this money for this and this, but at the end of the day, we do not see this money really working. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the problem is transparency and accountability in the utilization of those funds. That is why Nigerians do not have confidence in those borrowings. Every country borrows, including United States of America. They borrow, but those monies are utilized for the betterment of the people. they are being used for what they are meant to be used for. Now, in the case of Nigeria, those borrowings at times end up in individual pockets.
It does.
At times, they end up back to those countries where they are borrowed from. So, and that is pathetic. That is the problem. That is why Nigerians are not saying don't borrow. If you borrow and you use it for infrastructural development, it will turn around to increase the revenue base of the nation. And that revenue will be used to service the loan and to improve on the infrastructure as well. Now, if money is being borrowed and it is not used for what it's meant to be used for, so that's a problem. Then the revenue has not increased, of the nation has not increased, then you have problem paying. Then your debt ratio to revenue becomes questionable. And that is why the debt management office should be very, very autonomous, and they should be very, very sincere with Nigerians, and they should not fear any instances of whether intimidation from government, or they should always tell us the earth of our revenue to debt ratio.
Exactly.
And for example, there was a telecommunication company in this country, a vibrant one that was growing. They said, we don't have reception, we don't have network in some local governments across Nigeria. If we can deploy network across those local governments, we will have more revenue, we will have more profit. And they approached a consortium of 13 banks then and borrowed money, $1.3 billion or so dollars. And that allegedly the money was shared. The money was not used for infrastructure of the telecommunication company. And by 2016, dollar had gone up. Repaying that loan became a problem. And the company has a problem till today. The company has a problem till today. There's nothing wrong with borrowing. What do you do with
what you borrow? So you're able to pay back.
Transparency and accountability. And the National Assembly, the onus is on National Assembly that has oversight function over the executive to do the right thing. Make sure this money is utilized for what it is meant for. Because of this, when you look at during the last administration, so many funds were recovered that were called Abacha loot.
Yes.
So many funds were recovered. But I remember that those countries where those funds are being repatriated from were giving Nigeria conditions for those money to be returned back to Nigeria. What are the conditions? What project are you attaching? What project are you attaching to this money? And those things were documented. But at the end of the day, the government had a way of dribbling the people and going back to the same thing. The fear of the countries bringing back the money is always still there. Those monies went back to individual pockets. And that is bad. Those monies were not to be paid back. But these are loans. This one we are talking about now are loans. Because this is for 2025, 2026. We don't have enough revenue to service our budget. We don't have enough revenue to have budget surplus. Hence, our budget deficit, we must borrow to fund our budget to some certain extent. But if we are borrowing, it must reflect in our infrastructure for us to have more revenue, for more foreign investors to come on board, so that taxes will be paid, for us to have more money as a government. People, small scale businesses, medium scale businesses, large scale businesses must crop up in the country for us to have more revenue. But I don't think that is the situation. That is why Nigerians are saying, what are we borrowing for? What are we borrowing for? And there's no trust between the electorate, the masses, and the government. And again, the masses are not being carried along. In every aspect of all these borrowings, the masses are not being carried along. There is a communication gap between the masses, those are the governed, and those governing us. There's no communication line. Everything you do there must be a communication line. That is best practices. So that once you come up with a decision, once you come up with a policy, the people will have been already enlightened about what you are about to do. So once you announce you are kickstarting this policy, you are going to borrow this. You have we want to borrow this. We want to use it to finance 50% of our budget, 30% of our budget. But the people do not know. And one thing is that in this part of the country, the people do not read. So you must design a way of getting information to the people.
Exactly.
Their preferred mode of receiving information. You must design it as a people. As a government, you must design that way of getting information down to the people. You see, even when it comes to, apart from borrowing, when it comes to projects, the people that are beneficiary of projects, they don't know what the project is all about. They don't know who is doing the project. They don't know who is bringing the project. They don't know who is funding the project. I'll give you an example. There are villages where people just go and just come and start doing borehole. The traditional ruler, the traditional institution, they are not even aware. The people, the youth leaders, the community leaders, community associations, they are not aware. So it is very easy for the contractors to abandon the project. It is very easy for the contractors to distort what is written in the BOQ of the project, because those beneficiaries who are supposed to have been informed about what is coming were not carried along. So we must, as a people, whether the press, the civil society, and most especially the National Assembly, must make sure that since they have approved these loans, the loans must be utilized for what they are meant to be used for.
Okay. All right. Because of time, I have two more things I want us to review, but I want to leave the one I would term the juiciest as the last. Okay. Now, the House of Representatives has introduced a bill seeking to prohibit public and civil servants from patronizing private schools and private healthcare facilities. Now, the bill was sponsored by Amobi Oga, the Labour Party under Adia. It was presented for the first reading yesterday's plenary session. And his lead debate, Oga, he described the proposed legislation as a turning point in Nigeria's history. Now, it's no longer news that Nigerians have lamented how leaders who take positions of authority will go there and they neglect our health system. We're talking about health system. Our health system is in comatose. It's even nothing to write home about. Our education is nothing. But we have our leaders sending their children to the best schools either in the country or outside the country. What do you think about this bill by Amobi Oga? What do you think? Do you think it's going to see the light of the day? Because there are certain bills that takes ages for it to be passed in to become an act or a law. And then there are some, if Nigerians will term them, those that will favor them are passed speedily, and those that will sort of favor the masses is dragged. What do you think? Because I believe that if this will actually become a law in this country, that any person who is in a position of leadership will not have any right to either go seek medical attention outside this country, I believe is maybe going to help our healthcare system and our education. What are your thoughts about that?
The bill, as beautiful as it is, but unfortunately, the individuals sponsoring the bill do not have the capacity to get it passed. You have to lobby other lawmakers. The House of Representatives or the Senate, as the case may be, sponsoring any bill do not have the capacity to get it passed for the president to sign. It must be passed concurrently by both upper and lower legislative arm. But I do not believe in so many laws. There is no shortage of law in Nigeria.
Exactly.
But implementation of those laws
Implementation has been the problem.
and complying with those laws is what is the problem. That is why I believe in self-discipline. You don't need law to know that you are not supposed to turn on red when you get to traffic light.
Exactly.
You are supposed to be disciplined enough to know that. And where I have problem with the bill is, let's give an example of FCT. The FCT, the primary schools, FCT and state, the primary schools are under the purview of the state, of the local government, sorry. Then the secondary schools, they are under the purview of the state government. Now, what do we do? If the states, as individual states, refuses to make the schools habitable, they refuse to make the schools good learning environment, they refuse to remunerate teachers in such a way that they are dedicated enough to give quality education to the pupils and the students. And in a situation where even the teachers, they are not patriotic and dedicated enough to do their job. Because you cannot motivate somebody that does not have a motive. Money itself is not a motivating factor. It is not. You must have a motive before you can be motivated. If you like your job, you love your job, no matter the token you are being paid, you'll be happy doing the job. But once that is not what you want, and that is the problem in our education system. So there are so many problems. So this bill will only solve one problem. You say government officials. Are you saying government officials, including state government officials and local government officials? We have not seen the draft of the bill. But that must be captured. You say government officials, then what about those that are not in government yet, but in future they want to vie for government offices? For example, you princess, you are in Kaftan TV, you are not in government, and tomorrow, and you have a son or you have a daughter in a private school, and tomorrow you are appointed as the spokesperson to a governor or spokesperson to the president. What are you going to do? You withdraw your words from the private school and take them to a public school. Will you do that?
Unlikely.
So that is where the problem is. You sponsored a governor, a senator that is yet to be.
Yes.
Maybe an aspirant that is yet to become a candidate, has a son in Harvard, in Cambridge, in other universities, in Dundee University. Then after winning the election, he has spent 2 years. You have spent a lot of money. Then after winning the election, then what will you do? You have to withdraw the children. So let's look at the law itself. How will it be applied? Laws are made in Nigeria without the people making the law looking at how it will be applied.
Yes.
How the applicability of the law is the problem. But I still believe in self-discipline. That if you believe in the country, you will do what is right. There is no shortage of laws in this country. But Nigeria problem continues to remain the same as it was even before independence.
That's
and
right.
That is a problem. So we must plant in ourselves the ability and the capability to believe in the country and know what we are doing, that whatever we do has positive and negative effect on the nation. That is the most important thing. But in a nutshell, I don't see the law seeing the light of the day. That bill, I don't see it as a bill that will see the light of the day. Because those that will pass the bill, they are already guilty of the content of the bill.
They are the ones that will be affected by it, sadly. All right, totally agree with you. Okay, this is the last question I would like you to highlight, and then once we're done with that, we'll quickly take a quick break. When we return, we'll start taking calls. And that is on the issue of the governor of Osun State, along with the Osun PDP, endorsing the president for 2027. Now, when I saw this, I was like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Now, we're not just talking about anti-party practice. We're also talking about self-aggrandizement. We're talking about, should I call it spinelessness or wimpiness? You know, people that are supposed to keep the government on their toes, the opposition. If all those who are the bigwigs of the opposition party keep joining the ruling party, how then are we going to, how is democracy supposed to work? Because for democracy to work, whoever that is seated should have a strong opposition that will keep them on their toes, that they have a job. So if you have opposition parties, instead of doing their job, instead of being a watchdog to those in ruling party and ensuring that they keep them on their toes by pinpointing some ills they're doing or what they're not doing, you know, we're having them joining the party. And then we ask ourselves, what kind of democracy are we even practicing? Because this has been on, and I'm not surprised we're going to even see more of this by before 2027 comes. We've had so many PDP governors and what have you joining the ruling party because of their personal gain. What do you call this? What does this portend for Nigeria's democracy? It
is not too good for our democracy
at all.
In developed countries, people don't jump from one party to the other. But I want to tell you that it is a normal practice, even in America, for somebody to be a Republican and support the presidential candidate of Democrats, and vice versa. It depends on, there they look at quality of candidates. Here we look at interest.
Exactly.
Interest.
Self-interest, by the way.
Interest. And if we are talking about PDP, APC, ADC, Labour, ABGA, except for a few, I do not see anybody belonging to those parties. I see politicians belonging to all because if you look at them, they have gone from one party to the other, from here, gone out, come in again, go out, and that is where we are. That is the reality. That is, and what Gandhi of blessed memory, Mahatma Gandhi of blessed memory said 7 things that will destroy a nation. Politics without principles. Our politicians behave like footballers. Today they are in Manchester United, tomorrow they say Manchester United is a childhood club, they dream about it, tomorrow they are in Chelsea. And that is football. But when it comes to politics, principle must come into play. Principle must come into play. Every party has manifesto.
Exactly.
So if you are with this party, that means you believe in the manifesto
exactly
of that party. For you to jump into another party and now say you believe in the manifesto of the new party, that means it is self-interest. Wherever you are going to get ticket to run for an election, that is where you go to. It doesn't make our politics grow. Our politics, as it stands today, is not a competition of ideas. It's just about those that have deep pockets and they can buy the people. And even though you are not going to buy the people, you must still have deep pocket, because for you to move from one place to another, considering the size of the country, considering this landmass, considering the population of the country, for you to move from one place to the other, for you to galvanize support, let me tell you, you must spend money. You must spend money. And once politics has to do with money, not ideology, not ideas, it will not attract the kind of people that it's supposed to attract.
That's true. You
understand? That was why we saw people like Gani Fawehinmi lost election. And it's not only in Nigeria, Africa. Somebody like my mentor, Professor Patrick Lumumba of Kenya, contested for parliamentary election in his county. And he said he did 250 town hall meetings sharing ideas of how to represent the people. But this is opponent did not campaign according to him. Said 3 days to election, the opponents shared money and defeated him everywhere in all polling units. That is the tragedy of our politics.
It is.
And in this country, you can't continue to move from one party to the other, and you want me as Comrade Olumuyiwa, you want me to believe you that you have principles. You don't have principles. So, to me, I have the right to support anybody. You have the right to support people. But once you are supporting the people, there are things you must not say. You must not package people to be as if they have principle. No. We support people. People like us support people because somebody must occupy the positions. Not because of they have principles.
Yes.
Nobody has principles. Because once you jump from one party to the other, you cannot tell me that today you told me, this party is the best. Then tomorrow you are coming to tell me again that no, that party is bad, this one. No. The governor of Osun State was billed to move to APC. I don't know what happened. He's no longer going to APC. He's in PDP supporting the president. 2 senators moved from PDP to APC. What has changed? What has changed? And it's not only moving from opposition to the ruling party that I'm against. I'm even against moving from opposition to another opposition party. I am against it. Because defection is defection. Defection is defection. If you cannot build your political party, if as a stakeholder, as a leader in either your constituency, as a leader in either your senatorial district, as a leader even at the local level, in the ward, local government, state assembly, constituency, then as a governor, you are the leader in the state, you cannot build the party to the kind of party that you want to see. And you want to go to another one that is being built by the other people. So automatically you don't deserve to even be the governor. You don't deserve to be. If as a leader, even a candidate or aspirant in a political party, presidential or governorship, you are now being promised ticket somewhere else and you are now moving away from your party, that means your leadership acumen is even questionable. And our politicians must change.
All right.
They must change.
Thank you very much for pegging it there. All right, like I said, we'll quickly take a short break. When we return, we'll take your phone, we'll take your calls as you also share your thoughts on any of the newspaper headlines that touches you this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back once again to the press. And like I said, it's time for us to hear your opinion on any of the top newspaper headlines this morning. If there's anyone you'd like to talk about, feel free to do that. The phone lines are displayed on the screen right about now, so feel free to call us. We'd love to hear your contribution to the program this morning. And we have a first caller here. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
What's your name and where you calling us from?
I'm Raimi from Abuja.
Ibrahim.
Raimi.
Ibrahimi. All right. Thank you.
Rahimi.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning, your guest, and good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning.
Thank you. I want to ask your guest this morning to help us explain this or should I say judicial crisis in Nigeria. Because on a normal ground, judiciary is supposed to be the one to keep the tempo on a normal standard. But we have come to a stage in Nigeria where judiciary now gets us more confused every day by day. So I'll be pleased if your guests will help us to address it. For example, the recent happening about Natasha's case. The court have given pronouncement. The legislature, which is Senate in particular, is saying that it is an advice from the court. So I want your guest to help us. I don't know how good he is in the area of law, but if he can help us to tell us, is advice from court pronouncement supposed to be obeyed? I believe Nigerians will be happy to also know if there is a good explanation for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibrahimi. It's actually one thing I wanted to also touch, but you've already asked it, so he will definitely be responding to it. But let me see if I could take a few more calls, and then you respond to them if they do come in. Okay, I'm going to just give it a few seconds. If it doesn't, I'll have you respond to his question. Okay, let's do that. Now, I want you to respond to what he said. And now, in addition to that, also Natasha's accused the Senate President Akpabio of orchestrating a personal vendetta against her. Now, it brings us back to the power of law, because this is not the first time we've had a court make a pronouncement, give a judgment on a matter, and is not followed. This is not the first time. So, in response to
I don't think you are right by saying the court made a pronouncement in the case of Natasha and Akpabio at the National Assembly.
Okay.
You may not be right.
How so?
I've not seen the CTC of that judgment, but according to reports, wide reports in the media, the court, the Honorable Justice, made a pronouncement that though the Senate has the right to discipline their members, but what the court is not comfortable with is the length and the duration of that suspension, which I think they should look into. That's number one. That Natasha won. Then another pronouncement that Natasha should pay 5 million naira.
Yes.
That Natasha should apologize
publicly
to the Senate President. But I want to ask you, has she apologized? Has she paid the money?
I've not seen any apology.
Now, that has not been done. Then, she went ahead to appeal that judgment. There's nowhere in the world where you enforce a judgment that you appealed by yourself. You appeal a judgment and you want to... If, for example, if you approach a court and you seek 10 reliefs and the court, the Honorable Justice, in his wisdom, decide to grant you 9 out of the 10 reliefs and deny you one, and you decide to go and appeal that you need that one as part of it, you cannot enforce that 9 while you are on appeal for that one that was not granted. You cannot enforce that 9. You have to wait until the determination of the appeal court. So what was seen by Natasha, who coincidentally is a lawyer, is quite unfortunate. And that is what we are seeing from Nigerians. Number one, Nigerians are the ones filing frivolous cases through their lawyers, filing frivolous cases in courts. A case is in Rivers State, you go to Jigawa to go and file another one. This one is being determined, another one is springing up somewhere. Then Nigerians turn around to blame the judges. The judges, they will only determine what you present to them. You can't stop anybody from filing anything. You can't stop people from filing cases. It can only be thrown out if there is multiplicity of cases. Okay. You understand? So we must look at the root cause of the problem. Once you decide to misinterpret court judgment, you can't blame the judiciary for that. You can't blame justices for that. What Natasha did was to play over the intelligence of our supporters and Nigerian people. If, let's assume that the court said she should be recalled immediately, which the spokesperson of the Senate, Senator Adara Modu, denied. Now, you are supposed to be recalled immediately. Let's assume that is the duty of the Senate to recall you. But what about your own duty in that judgment that says pay 5 million? That's fine. Apologize in newspapers and your Facebook page. You did not do that, and you want the Senate to do their own part. It's not done. Then you went to the Senate and created a lot of dramas, and you were not granted access. You went back and you addressed the press there and said you are going to consult your lawyer. Why didn't you consult your lawyer before going there? So people should leave emotion and face the law. The law is the law. The law is the law. Law is not morality. Law does not work by emotion. If emotion will make people win cases, outrightly, she will not be fined. She will, the honorable justice will just say, oh, recall her immediately. Oh, she has no apology to render. But in this case, the Senate erred based on the duration of the suspension. She erred based on her sarcastic apology to the Senate president. So she's supposed to make formal apology and pay $5 million. There is no evidence. And if that is not done, and you went ahead to appeal a judgment, that means you are not comfortable with the judgment. You can't be comfortable. There are three orders there. You can't be comfortable with one, and you are not comfortable with two. Then you appeal. Then you want to enforce the one you are comfortable with. It doesn't work that way. And I want Nigerians to read more, seek more knowledge. I want Nigeria to learn more. I want Nigeria to throw away emotion. I go to court too, against agencies. Once we do FOI to you and you refuse to answer us within 7 days as required by law, we go to court. But there are instances where mistakes come from our lawyers. And instead of writing a name correctly, writing a company, you write a corporation. Technically, when I see it, I know that case will not see the light of the day. But for me to whip sentiment and accuse the judges of throwing away our case, that is not being fair. That is not being fair. You are supposed to be meticulous. You can lose a case because it is not meritorious. You can lose a case on technical ground. Those are the two grounds for which you can lose your case. No matter how meritorious your case is. Because you, Princess Okoli, if I file a case against you in a court and your lawyer sees that I wrote my lawyer in the court papers wrote Prince Okoli, will you accept that name?
No.
You are not. In the case that was filed against the former governor of Delta State, James Ohanefe Ibori, somebody came out to say, oh, I am James Ohanefe Ibori. James Ohanefe Ibori. Those are two different names. Those are two different people. So nobody will inherit a name that is wrongly spelt. When it even means you have a case in court.
Exactly.
Even when you don't have a case in court, you will not inherit, you will not accept a name that. Those are technical grounds. Natasha was wrong. And what she got from the court, what was she got from her suspension? During her suspension, during the sitting, it was there that if she apologized before the expiry date of that suspension, she will be recalled back, she will be reconsidered. Just like Senator Ningi. Senator Ningi apologized and he was recalled. If you apologize, you'll be recalled. She says she will not apologize. She went to court. The same court said, go and apologize. Go and apologize. Then she did not apologize. She went back. So to answer his question, I know maybe Nigerians are emotional. You understand? Nigerians are emotional. But emotions will not win you cases in courts.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. I hope it answers your question. Hello, good morning to you. All right. Do well to turn down the volume of your TV set or walk away from it when you call into the program. All right. We still have a few minutes before we wrap up the program. Let me see if I could entertain one or two calls as we wrap up the program this morning. like I said, feel free to talk about any headlines of your choice. Feel free to discuss that with us. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines are visibly on the screen as we are speaking to you right now. So call the phone number and be part of our conversation this morning. Okay, so I've been having this conversation with my guest here, Comrade Olumuyiwa, and he has done quite some justice to some of the questions I threw at him regarding some of the newspaper headlines making the waves this morning. Okay, because we do not have much time, I have roughly 4 minutes on the clock to wrap the program up. I'm sure you've read quite a number of the headlines. So in wrapping up the show this morning, I'll just have you I don't know if maybe there's anyone you would like to touch or something you'd like to say. If not, just a summary of your thoughts this morning concerning the headlines this morning. Let's go.
I would like to plead with our lawyers in this country, legal practitioners, to desist from frivolous cases, duplication of cases. The bastardization of the judicial system starts from the lawyers. If you don't approach a court, there's nothing that says a judge must attend to a case before he or she is paid his salary. You go to countries like Netherlands, they have low crime rate, they have low litigations. And that is not because the government is holding them with iron hands. It is because the citizens decided to do the right thing. Now, if you file a case, there must be a determination. Is that the case is thrown out, or the judge will determine the case based on what is presented to the judge? If, for example, what people don't understand about judicial system, if a man decides, whether under the influence of alcohol, to unalive anybody, and the case is taken to court, it is not automatic that, oh, they said you kill somebody, you unalive somebody, you'll be killed, you'll be unalive. No, it must be proven beyond reasonable doubt
that he did kill the person.
So when the prosecution decides to jeopardize the case based on lack of due diligence or based on financial influence, you cannot blame the justices for whatever decision they come up with, because they were not there when those things happen. We are the ones destroying the reputation of our justices and the judicial system and the courts because of our emotions. Emotion will not give you anything outside the normal social media frenzy that people will say this thing, give judgment on social media, pass judgment, fake news, design what is not. But if we really want a society that we will be proud of, we must eschew emotion. Because if we are doing this, international investors, foreign investors, will not have confidence in our judiciary, and they will not come and invest in Nigeria, and our economy will continue to experience turbulence.
All right, thank you so much. My guest who has been with me this morning, I'm talking about Comrade Olumuyiwa Onlade, Public Affairs Analyst and Executive Director, Citizens Awareness Against Corruption and Social Vices Initiative. It's been a great pleasure having this with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And to you who watch, you started and you started your morning with us. We do appreciate you for being a part of Captain Television. Thank you so much for being a part of the press today. And we call it a wrap at this very hour. Remember that every day is a fresh day and a new chance for you to love, for you to be inspired, for you to do better than you did yesterday. And above all, I want you to stay kind, stay safe, stay informed, stay positive. I am Princess Ekezie Okoli. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday today. Bye for now.